Okay, so let's talk about what it means to spend almost 100 years of your life fighting one single problem. I mean, really think about that, because that was the life of W.E.B. Du Bois, who was without a doubt one of America's most powerful thinkers. And this right here, this is the problem. This single sentence, written way back in 1903, really set the stage for everything he would do. It's from his incredible book, The Souls of Black Folk, and you could say it became the mission statement for his entire amazing life. So yeah, for 95 years, Du Bois was all about tackling this color line, the deep division between black and white America. But here's the thing, his game plan wasn't set in stone. Oh no, it changed, it evolved, taking him from quiet university libraries all the way to the global stage of activism. So let's look at how he started. His first move wasn't what you might expect. No marches, no protests. It was scholarship. See, in his early days, Du Bois had this powerful idea that he could use science and data to really diagnose the sickness of racism in America. He truly believed that if he could just present the cold, hard truth, it would be the cure. And the guy was brilliant. I mean, a total academic prodigy. He was born in Massachusetts, in a town that was pretty tolerant for the time, went to Fisk University, and then he went to Harvard. And in 1895, he became the very first African-American to get a PhD from there. You have to remember, this was just a few decades after slavery. It was a massive, monumental achievement. It really shows you how much she believed that knowledge, that education was the real key to empowerment. And his whole approach was just so rigorous. It was all about the data. His dissertation, which became his first book, was this super detailed history of the slave trade. Then he followed that up with a book called The Philadelphia Negro, and this was a game changer. It was the first time anyone had done a real, scientific, sociological study of a black community in America. He was using facts, figures, and hard evidence to just tear down all the racist stereotypes. But, his most powerful idea wasn't just about numbers and data. It was something deeper, something psychological. He put it into words in The Souls of Black Folk. And with this quote, he just perfectly captured this internal struggle, this feeling that was at the very heart of being black in America. He called it double consciousness, this idea of always seeing yourself through the eyes of a society that looks down on you. But here's what's so interesting. He didn't see it as just a burden. He actually argued that this two-ness, this experience of being both black and American, gave you a unique power. It was like having a second sight, an ability to see America in a way that others couldn't. Okay, so he's diagnosed the problem, but pretty soon, Du Bois realized that a diagnosis isn't the same as a cure. Something happened that changed everything for him. After he witnessed the horrific lynching of a man named Sam Hose, it just hit him. He said, you couldn't just be a calm, cool, and detached scientist while this was happening. It became crystal clear that just telling the truth wasn't enough. You had to get people to do something about it. And this new focus on activism, well, it put him in direct conflict with the most powerful black leader at the time, Booker T. Washington. These two had totally different ideas. Washington was all about the Atlanta Compromise. Basically, accept segregation for now, focus on learning trades, and building economic power. Du Bois, he thought that was a terrible deal. He demanded full civil rights right now, and he believed in developing what he called the Talented Tenth, a group of the best and brightest to lead the fight for equality. And Du Bois wasn't just about talk. He was a builder. First, he started the Niagara Movement, which was a direct challenge to Washington's ideas. Then, and this is huge, he co-founded the NAACP, which would become the legal powerhouse of the civil rights movement. And on top of that, he was the editor of its magazine, The Crisis, which became this incredible platform to protest injustice. By 1920, it had 100,000 readers. That's a massive voice. But Du Bois's thinking kept expanding. He started to realize that this color line, it wasn't just an American thing. No. It stretched all the way around the world. He saw it as part of a global system of empire and exploitation. So he became a huge voice for Pan-Africanism. He helped organize these big international meetings to fight for the independence of African colonies. He even argued that World War I was really just a fight between European empires over who got to control Africa. For him, the struggle for a black person in Mississippi was completely connected to the struggle for freedom for someone in the Congo. It was all one fight. And this global political view shaped everything he did, even his take on art. During the Harlem Renaissance, a lot of people were talking about art for art's sake, not Du Bois. He basically said, I do not care a damn for any art that is not used for propaganda. He believed black artists had a responsibility to use their work as a weapon in the fight for racial justice. He even used history as a weapon. Take a look at this. his masterpiece from 1935, Black Reconstruction in America. At the time, most historians, who were white, were teaching that the Reconstruction era after the Civil War was a total disaster. Du Bois came in with mountains of evidence and completely flipped that narrative. He showed that it was actually this amazing moment of democratic progress led by Black Americans that was violently crushed by a racist backlash. All right, so as we get to the end of his very long life, Du Bois' thinking takes another turn. His analysis of the color line leads him to a final, really radical conclusion. A conclusion that would basically put him at odds with the entire country he'd spent his life trying to fix. He came to believe that you just couldn't get rid of racism without also dealing with capitalism. In his mind, the two were completely linked. He saw global capitalism and colonialism as the engines that created the color line in the first place, all to exploit workers of color around the world. Now, you can imagine this kind of thinking, embracing socialism and communism right in the middle of the Cold War. It made him a target for the US government. When he was 83 years old, they actually indicted him as an agent of a foreign power. He was acquitted, but they took his passport away for 8 years. So what did he do? At age 93, in a final act of protest, he officially joined the Communist Party and then left America forever. He moved to Ghana, and that's where he spent the rest of his life. But you know, through all of that, the economics, the politics, all the radical shifts, one core idea from his very first book always stayed with him. He still believed that the real tragedy, the thing at the very root of the color line, wasn't just about money or power. It was simpler and sadder. It was that we, as people, just know so little about each other. And here's the final incredible piece of irony. W.E.B. Du Bois died on August 27, 1963. That's one day before the March on Washington, which was really the peak of the civil rights movement he helped to build. He provided so much of the intellectual firepower for that movement, but he didn't live to see that incredible day. So after 95 years of fighting, his life leaves us with a really important question to think about. Where is that color line today?